Everybody, welcome to this self-check video. In this video, we're going to be covering section 2.2. So let's go ahead and look at number 3 that states the following data represents the number of employees at various restaurants in San Francisco. So here we have a bunch of data, a list of it, and it represents the number of employees at different restaurants. So using this data, we want to create a frequency table, which is given to us below. We're going to be beginning with a lower class limit of 10 and then a class width of 10. And it also states to include the relative frequency, which is given to us that we need to fill out right here. So it's saying start with the lower class limit of 10. So that means on our first row, our first lower limit is going to be 10. And so since we have a class width of 10, that means my next class, but right below it, I'm going to have a width of 10. So 10 plus 10, that's going to be 20. And it's still a class width of 10, so I got to jump another 10. So another 10 is 30. And then another 10 is going to be 40. Okay. And since it is a class, we need some type of numbers, the range of numbers for it to be between. I need a number on the right side, which is our upper class limit. And so our upper class limit here is going to be 19. We are dealing with whole numbers. We're going up to 20. So it's the next whole number below it, which is 19. And once again, we have a class width of 10. So 19 plus 10 is 29. 39 plus 10, or sorry, 29 plus 10 is 39. 39 plus 10 is 49. Okay, so those are our classes. It's just a range of intervals in between. We have 4 of them. So now the next goal is to pick out which one of these data points belong in each one of these intervals. So let's go ahead and check that out. So for my first class, 10 through 19, that's going to be numbers between 10 through 19. So I have 15 right here. I see 18 and I see 19. And that's about it. So I have 3 numbers between 10 and 19. That means my frequency will be 3. There's 3 of them. Okay, let's move on to the next class, which is 20 through 29. And so 22 is between those values, 26, 28, 20, 25, 24, 22, 27, 22, 20, and 28. So that's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 values. So that means our frequency is 11. Now let's move on to 30 through 39. Same exact process. So I have 35, I have 34, 39, 34, and 38. So that is 5 values. And so our frequency is 5 between 30 and 39. Last one is 40 through 49. And that is just 1, 2, and 3. Okay. So relative frequency, recall that relative frequency is just the frequency divided by the total number of values. So we need to get total number of values, but that's pretty straightforward. I'll say like total, and we're going to add up our frequency, our total number of workers or employees. So 3 plus 11 plus 5 plus 3 is going to be 22. So for our relative frequency, it would be 3 divided by 22, 11 divided by 22, 5 divided by 22, and 3 divided by 22. And that comes out to, just doing the calculation in your calculator, is 0.14, which is 14%, but we could keep it in decimal for now. 11 divided by 22 is 0.50. 5 divided by 22 is 0.23. Excuse me. 3 divided by 22 is 0.14. And all these add up to, if you put them in your calculator, 1.01. So at least we're close to 1. If you're up a little bit or below a little bit, it's still okay. All right, let's go ahead and use this data to construct a couple histograms. So below, it's saying using the information from question 3, construct a histogram using class boundaries and frequencies. So I need to determine what the class boundaries are. So recall that the class boundaries are the space between your classes. So it's the space between 19 and 20, the space between 29 and 30, the space between 39 and 40. So I need to calculate that space. And what we're really going to do is just find the midpoint between 19 and 20. So let me do this. Class boundaries. That's going to be 19 plus 20 divided by 2. And that's going to be 19.5. The class boundary between 29 and 30, same exact thing. So 29 plus 30 divided by 2, that is 29.5. Class boundary between 39 and 40, same process. 39 plus 40 divided by 2, that is 39.5. Okay, so we have some of our boundaries here. We're missing a couple. We need to get a boundary before 10 and a boundary after 49. So the way to go about that is we're going to use our class width, and we're going to take this first class boundary, 19.5, and subtract 10, our class width. So 19.5 minus 10, that is 9.5. So that's one of our other class boundaries. And we're going to add 10 to the last boundary we found in order to get the boundary after 49. So we're going to take 39.5 and add 10 to it to get 49.5. And those are our class boundaries. So let's go ahead and construct a histogram. So it'll be a little tight here, but it'll look something along these lines. So we'll have our class boundaries, 9.5, 19.5, 29.5, 39.5, and 49.5. When we have our frequency to the left, we'll go by twos. We'll go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12. This is our frequency. And let's go ahead and draw that. So our first frequency is going to be 3. The numbers between 9.5 and 19.5 is 3. So we're going to go up 3. So remember, histogram is connecting. So that's 3. The next frequency is 11. Between 19.5 and 29.5. So this is going to go up 2. Remember, it's connecting. It's going to go up 2, 11. Okay. And the next frequency is 5. Between 29.5 and 39.5, we are getting a frequency of 5. So about 5 right there. And lastly is 3. That's a frequency. So another 3, and it will look like this. And that is our histogram using class boundaries and frequency. But okay, let's go ahead and jump to question 5 and do class midpoints and relative frequency. So same process, we need to figure out what our midpoints are. And really just a midpoint is just the middle point between these classes. So that's a little easier to do. Midpoints are always a bit easier to do. So it should be 10 plus 19 divided by 2, which is 14.5. Next is 20 plus 29 divided by 2, which is 24.5. And next is 30 plus 39 over 2, which is 34.5. And lastly is 40 plus 49 divided by 2, which is 44.5. Okay, so these are our class midpoints. You see that they are less than class boundaries. And so let's go ahead and sketch out this histogram. Same thing, we're going to have a scale like such, except this time we have midpoints. So here's a midpoint right here, 14.5. Here's 24.5. Here is 34.5. And lastly, 44.5. Okay, great. Let's go ahead and get our scales going. So our frequency is like 0.14, 0.5, 0.23. So I'm going to go up to 0.5. So here's 0.10, here's 0.20, here's 0.30, 0.40, and 0.50. Say this is the relative frequency. But the frequency for the midpoint, 14.5, is going to be this 0.14. So let's go ahead and sketch that out. And the midpoint is going to go in the middle. That's how the midpoint works. Next is 0.50. So we're going to go all the way up here. The midpoint is in the middle. Next is 0.23. I'll draw it right here. And lastly is 0.14. and that'll go about right here. Okay, so that is our histogram using midpoints and relative frequency. Midpoints is generally easier. You just got to be careful that the midpoint is in the middle of your graphs. But okay, so that's it for self check 1.4. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.